Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 116 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 116 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so excited that you're here with us this week. If you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep, and I really appreciate all of your support and encouragement, and welcome you back again, too. Before we get started with this week's episode, I always like to make sure that we set the foundation. It is very important for me to make sure that you understand that we are creating a safe space. And within that safe space, our space is going to be rooted on two very important things, and that is clarity and love. So clarity is really straightforward. It's just about making sure that you know why you're here. The Well Done Life podcast is a space that I created for women. I feel like women are the foundation of society and that we need spaces where we can be our most authentic self, where we can share our stories, the good, the bad, and learn and grow from each other. So that is what this space is all about, and I welcome you. Now, my second thing is always love, and actually it's my favorite thing. I love love. I think everything should be rooted in love, and everything that we do in this space is going to be rooted in that. So what I like to make sure that I do is I like to send prayers to you before we get into our topics. I think it's important that we send prayers of peace and love and happiness and joy and prosperity to each other, because we need to pray for each other a little bit harder sometimes, I think. And also it just kind of helps align us in the same balance. So I'm sending you all of those prayers. I'm also sending you prayers of perseverance, because it's tough. It can be tough out here. It's been some interesting couple of weeks for me. And so I want to send you prayers of perseverance. I hope you feel my good energy, because I am sending it to you. I am believing for you. Don't give up on what you have in your heart that you want to accomplish, because there is still time. We are in the 7th month of the year, and that is still time to change our lives positively. And if it is on your heart to do that, then you should do it. And don't let anything stop you. Don't let yourself stop you, because you are more than enough and you deserve that. So I hope that you will take my prayers of positivity and peace and love and happiness and joy and all of those things and perseverance and just do amazing things this week. So we're back, winding into another episode. I missed you guys last week. Last week was tough. I think coming in on a short week, I don't know about anybody else, but like a short week after a holiday sometimes feels like 2 long weeks built together. And last week was tough. I was just so tired and I just was unfocused. And then I had some things go on personally, within my family that kind of were bothering me. And I just couldn't commit to coming into the right space. I'm still trying to deal with things the best that I can, but I wanted to come back this week because I missed y'all. I do. I miss our conversations, and I have an amazing guest to share as well. So I'm just very excited about being here, but I want to thank everybody for the encouragement to take some time and just enjoy the weekend. I had a great weekend. I fed my nerd a little bit in between all the madness. Got a chance to see Thor: Love and Thunder with my sister, and it was awesome. I am a big Marvel nerd, if I have not said that enough. Like I am. Like Disney Plus, it has been my bae these past few months. So I just truly am that person. I'm a big kid and I hope I never grow up, but it definitely has been helping me through. So if you haven't got a chance to check it out and you're just looking for something mind-numbing and fun, I would totally recommend that to you, because it really is mind-numbing and fun. But I am very excited though to come back somewhat renewed and refreshed. I'm still struggling a little bit, trying to figure out my way through the crazy. So please forgive me. But I am, like I said, really glad to be back in this space. And I'm very excited about this conversation that I had with Ms. Yolanda Holiday. Yolanda is an amazing woman who is a disruptor. She's disrupting the wine industry, and I'm really excited about having the opportunity to connect with her and share her journey, because I think even if you don't like wine, you can find inspiration in seeing how someone started out on one path, but after kind of digging in and surrendering to the process, they recognize that another journey was where they should be, because I think a lot of us have had to learn that lesson. So hopefully you enjoy this conversation. And if you stand by in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Yolanda will be with you.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm so glad that you could join me on this Tuesday night. Thank you for correcting me about what day of the week it was, girl. I was like, woo, totally through. I think I'm just ready for Friday. It has. I know. Before we kind of dive into everything, why don't you let us know about you? Tell us all about you.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Yolanda Holiday. I am originally a Jersey girl. I've been in the state of North Carolina, Queen City, for the last 22 years. I am a mom to 2 amazing adult kids. My daughter is beautiful and she's 30. My son is amazing and he is 27. I am an entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur not just by what I do, but at heart, it's just what I'm passionate about. I currently own 2 businesses, Uncorked Smoke and Onyx Zealot Distributor.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I'm very excited about it, especially the fact that you're in the Queen City. My parents are from North Carolina, so I know North Carolinians are very solid people. So welcome.
Yes,
I'm very
it's now
excited about
home.
having you.
After 22 years, I now call it home.
I was going to say, do you miss Jersey?
I miss people, but not actually living in the state, no.
I understand. I'm from Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn. I keep saying that, even though I was raised in Florida. And I feel like a part of me always used to want to live up north. So that's why I always like to ask Northerners, do you miss it?
Yeah,
but then I think about it and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I'm a city girl, like to my soul, but my heart is a Southern girl. So yeah, no, this is it.
Okay. No, totally can understand. And you've picked an amazing city. So I'm so excited about talking with you. So like you said, you have Uncorked Smoke and you are a wine distributor with Onyx Zealot. So my first question, how did you get started? Like what led you to this path?
Okay, so I actually owned my own event management company. And I knew that that wasn't going to be the business that I retired from. I knew that one day I wanted to own a wine bar. I didn't put a time on it like everything else. You know, we're so busy with the now. We push everything that we really want off to the side. And then COVID hit and we were all stuck in the house. And I really quick tried to find some sanity by walking. I hit by a car. And it was a bad hit and run. And it was in that moment I was like, why do you put off what you can actually be doing today? Because tomorrow is not guaranteed. So I picked up the business plan and went head first into, I'm going to open up this wine bar. And this wine bar is going to be great. It's going to feature wines produced by Black winemakers and women winemakers and LGBTQ winemakers. All of the underrepresented brands are going to be in my wine bar. And then I realized how ignorant I was to the 3-tier system.
Okay, what is that?
That was a lesson for me. It is not that there's not brands out there to bring into the state of North Carolina. It's not, that these brands don't want to be in the state of North Carolina. What I realized was these brands are not getting distribution deals because traditional wine distributors are not interested in them. They can't meet these quotas that they have because they're first generation new businesses. They have to grow to get where the older established businesses are. And the traditional distributors weren't interested in that. So it took me a minute to pivot because I was married to this wine bar. And I was like, I got to have this wine bar. But what was the mission? At the end, the mission is I wanted to bring representation to the underrepresented brands. And so I kind of shifted over to the distribution side. Okay. The wine bar is still happening. It's just not happening at this moment. Because the distribution is up and running.
No, that totally makes sense. And I think that's a really interesting trajectory from having an events business into deciding that you wanted to go full time into wine. Like, How did you develop your love of wine? Like, or I'm assuming that is a love of yours for you to be like a distributor and want to be an Uncorked.
Very much so. I always look for representation. I love all things about wine, not just drinking wine, but I'm like a information nerd. So I will always be curious. Like, I don't like Rieslings that are from California. Okay. I love, and I thought all this time, I don't really like Riesling, it's too sweet. But then I started doing these tastings just for myself where I would pick wines, same like Riesling, but from different areas. And I found out that I really love German Riesling. So I'm just an information nerd. I think events actually help it because you're social. Wine is a social business. 8 years ago, I started a book club. Our book club name is Words and Wine. So wine has always been a part of my life. So when I look for representation, I love wine. I want to do this wine bar. And the one thing that stood out to me, and this is a fact that I actually have learned recently, is 57% of wine consumers are women, but we only make up 4% of winemakers. Why are we not making money in an area that we obviously love? So that got my attention and I started digging, and it's a really fun business. I tell people I get paid to sip. Like I'm sipping your wine to see if I want to bring it on board. So I literally get paid to sip.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. And I know plenty of people personally who would love to get paid to sip wine.
Yes. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
I was going to say, I could only imagine, and just kind of like diving into that, what is the process for you when you are looking at trying to bring on wines into your distributorship?
So I never try to be everything in my business. I know that my taste of wine is not going to be what everyone's taste of wine is. So I've actually hired a wine consultant, a certified sommelier to my team. She goes through, she does a taste profile, she does a nose profile, she makes recommendations. We meet with the winemaker, we discuss the wines. And if it is we will distribute all wines. We're not saying we will only distribute minority wines or women wines. We will distribute all wines. If it's a quality wine, and we can make the numbers make sense, then we will bring you in-house, and we have a full onboarding process because the state of North Carolina has a lot of rules and regulations. And that is where we're different than other distributors. We are wanting to partner with you. We're not going to grow true generational wealth in the Black communities if we're not working together. We have to work together. You may make great wine, but may not understand the business of wine. I've done so much research that I can help you with the business of wine. And therefore, where you're growing, I'm growing. So we're both growing.
Right. I love the fact that it's a very reciprocal relationship, because I think that is, to your point, really important, especially in the Black community, for us to continue to grow, where we have those type of reciprocal partnerships. If you don't mind me asking, like, with everything going on, obviously, like you mentioned with COVID and having to pivot away from the wine bar, have you found that there is an increase maybe in people trying to get into winemaking, or has it really impacted bringing people on into the distributorship at all?
I think that when it comes to winemaking, we are seeing a lot of energy in that area. There are a lot more winemakers, and it could be because COVID, people were at home thinking, what business could I try? It's a lot of energy. It's an exciting time right now. On the distribution side, it is a very difficult industry to get into. It is usually the good old boys club. So I don't see a lot of us getting into that area. So for me, there was a little debate in the beginning, who was the first Black wine distributor in the state? There are other wine distributors. They were winemakers. They wanted to get their brand distributed. So they registered as a distributor, but I've not found any that's actively out there trying to distribute other brands. I don't want to make wine. It's never been my passion to make it. But I love the distribution side, the meeting people, the networking, the sales. And then, of course, on the other end, I love the sipping of the wine. So I found my place here, and I would like to see more of us in this arena, because if we work together, I actually was in California for 2 weeks in June working with a distributor where we're going to do a partnership where how do we compete against the larger brands? If Costco calls a larger brand and they say, we need a delivery in New Jersey, North Carolina, and California. Mm-hmm. A larger brand they have distribution in all those states. But someone like myself, I'm currently only in North Carolina, about to launch into South Carolina. If they call me and say, we want North Carolina, South Carolina, and California, I don't want to send them away and say, sorry, I don't do California. We're building a network so that we're all partnering together, that I can't service to California, so this is the order for California. We are partnering together so that we can then compete against the larger brands.
Very cool. I mean, that's definitely a great opportunity for you to grow faster doing it that way. Are you only interested in staying in wines, or are you interested in looking at distributing other premium spirits? Because I have seen like an increase in, especially in minority women, like getting involved in like premium spirits.
Yes.
So I was just curious.
So in the state of North Carolina, I can only do wine and beer.
Okay.
When I branch into other states, the states that will allow me to also do spirits, I will add spirits on. I would love to do spirits, but North Carolina kind of has that market. They control all liquor. They want that money. We can't get it. It's them. So for the state of North Carolina, I can only do wine and beer. And I look at it as it's a good way to get started. I can build my processes. So when I get into the states that allow me to do liquors, the process is already there. The foundation has been laid, so I can scale and bring those on without creating too much of a disruption within my business.
No, that totally makes sense. I guess my other thought behind it is, as you're saying, and you'd love to see more people get involved in distributorship. Is that something that's really easy for someone to do? Because I know that there are a lot of people who are passionate about it. How do you get started? Like, what are some of the things that you need to do?
It is not easy at all. There is no class out there. There is no handbook of how to do it. You literally have to hit the ground and be willing to do the work. Talk to everyone. If I see you on LinkedIn or Instagram and you have some type of background in wines, I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to shoot you a message and say, hey, my name is, and I would love just 15 minutes of your time just to get to know you, because people want to be paid for their time. So I'm not asking you to coach me. I'm just trying to get to know you, to see how can we work together? Can we build something together? Do a lot of research, be very detailed, and be willing to fight. Because no one's going to make it easy for you, whether it is going through the local alcohol beverage commission. They're not in a rush to help you. They are not going to tell you everything you need to know. Example is, I received my distribution wholesale license from the Alcohol Beverage Commission, and that was it. There was no other steps. They didn't say what's next. Well, because I like to dig and I'm just, again, an information nerd, I realized that immediately I'm supposed to register with the Department of Revenue for North Carolina and start filing monthly reports. There's nothing nowhere that tells you that. So what I'm doing is, as I'm learning, I'm documenting everything so that eventually I can then offer the service of assisting people who want to get into the distribution business.
Wow, I think that's great, because I always was curious, as I've seen other small brands start to come on in the liquor space. Like, how do you do it? Because it does always seem like it has like a wall around it where only a certain group of people have access to be able to do it. So I think it's great that you're willing to share your knowledge and your resources and stuff like that. As we're talking more about your business, what is your vision for, I guess, the next step in your distributorship?
So for the next step, right now, we are slowly growing in the state. By the end of the year, we're in the Charlotte market, branch out into the Raleigh market. Next year, we will tackle all 100 counties. So we'll have 7 distribution hubs throughout the state where we can service all of the state of North Carolina, service South Carolina, looking at getting into major hotels, big box stores such as Costco's and Target's, then branching into other states. On the list is Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. So this is taking over the Southeast. My goal is I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to give it all the blood, sweat, and tears it needs, because in 9 years, I'm retiring and I'm passing this on to my children. So it right now they're in it, but they're not in the day-to-day. But I'm bringing them on, trying to figure out what they like, where they fit, so that they can take it over. And it's a true business that I can leave to my kids. Because when you look at the traditional distributors, they've been in business since like the 50s. It's been passed down from great grandpa to grandpa to son. And so we don't have a lot of businesses like that. I feel like this is the perfect business model for that.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree. Because it's kind of like, I'm a little bit of I'm a nerd. And just from like a historical standpoint, because if we think about it, like some of the bigger brands, like Jack Daniels and all of those things, a lot of that distilling business has, like you said, it's been passed down generationally.
Yes.
So I think it's really cool to be able to see you having an opportunity to build something that is so vision minded. So you said your kids right now, currently, they don't really operate with it day to day, but do they give you insight? How do they feel about their mom being in the liquor business?
They do. So like when I first was getting ready to launch this, we sat down, we had a whole conversation about it. They both voiced their opinions. My son is very much the leader. He's an Army Ranger. He very much is a leader. He will take on a leadership role, more growth, probably going out. He's social as well, so going out, strategically growing the business. My daughter's more of an introvert. She will speak with people, but she's very good with products. So she lives in California, so she's always saying to me, "Look at this brand. Look at this brand," and it's something that she likes. So I see her stepping more into like a supplier management product role. I don't want to force it on them where you hear people go, "Oh, I got to go to the family business." I want them to find their passion and know that it's an option here, where a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that family business they can. I never thought I would be able to give that to my children, a family business where they can step in and grow and actually have something that's ours.
Yeah, I just think it's just so beautiful to be able to see you be able to do that. And it's funny when you said, about them finding their passion. How did you, I know you mentioned obviously you had the accident, but how in that moment did you find your passion for this?
I think the passion was always there. I have always had a passion for entrepreneurship. I've always had a passion for being my own boss. I've always had a passion for community. So in the moment of the accident where I was really thinking, one, to do events, you're on your feet 16 hours a day. Right. After the accident, my legs are not the same. Being on my feet 16 hours a day is more torture than not. It no longer I was enjoying events, but I love the hospitality space. So how do I stay in the hospitality space? The vision for the wine bar was like my aha, like you can have it. Like you can get in the space. You love wine, you love entertaining, you love the hospitality arena. So this is perfect for you. And that's why it took me about a year before I embraced adding the distribution side to it. The wine bar is not that it's not going to happen. I think it's just not going to happen now. And I kept trying to force it. I kept trying to make it happen. God kept saying, this is not the order it's supposed to be in, because I would go. I've had so many no's when trying to find a space for the wine bar. Not because of my financials, because they never looked at it. Not because of my business plan. It just kept going, you're not a good fit. Well, why am I not a good fit? Because now I see in that same space you're looking for a wine bar, and I'm bringing a wine bar. So could it possibly be, we don't want to believe that racism is still out there, but you don't want the people you think I'm going to attract. Because you have no other reason to say no. You haven't looked at financials. You haven't looked at the important documents. And so I got enough of those. And what I realized is, if I'm thinking long-term and I'm being strategic, the money that's there to be made in a distribution business would afford me the opportunity to buy a building for the wine bar versus trying to lease someone else's building. Right.
Wow. And so, and that is true. But I know personally, when we want what we want, it is very hard to move past what we want. So how did you move past that enough to recognize that you needed to go ahead and go in this other direction too?
I take a lot. People talk about self-care. I actually take a lot of time. Sometimes it's forced, sometimes it's voluntarily, to reflect. And when I feel like I'm keep hitting a roadblock, I keep hitting a brick wall, there's a reason for that. So I actually sat down and had a conversation with myself. I had my papers lined out, like, look, this business plan is solid. Why is this not working? And I kept looking at that mission, and I kept looking at the opportunity on the distribution side. And I was like, I keep saying I'll come back to the distribution after I get the bar started. But if the true mission of the bar is to bring these underrepresented brands, I can't do that without the distribution. Because I reached out to current distributors. I got hung up on. I got told I wasn't interested. They weren't interested. So that wasn't an option. So then I was going to have a wine bar that was going to be like every other wine bar. That wasn't the mission. So I said, okay, let's see how this works. I am going to keep the wine bar and try to work both at the same time. But again, it wasn't in God's plan for it to happen like that, because then I started laying the foundation for the distribution, and it kept going like green light, green light, green light, and steadily getting yellow lights for the wine bar, so where the distribution kind of pulled ahead and the wine bar kind of fell back. And then once I'm in it, I'm loving it. And I'm like, okay, this is the way it was supposed to happen.
Right. And a lot of times that's how it happens.
Yes.
Where, we got to unfortunately get in there, get the no, and then get all the yeses on the thing that we didn't think that we were supposed to do.
Right.
So that we can get to what we were supposed to do. So then knowing that journey now, do you have any regrets about how it played out?
None. I don't think I would have ever thought about being in the distribution world had it not played out the way it played out. Never did I think about distribution. It was never on my radar. It was have the wine bar, be social, have people come in. Like I have the business plan so solid. I knew what we were going to be doing on every night. I knew what specials we were going to have. Like it's there, and it's still there. It's going to happen. It's just not happening in this moment. But give me 2-3 years and Uncorked Smoke will be a building. But let me say this. I haven't completely put Uncorked Smoke to the side either. So I do home experiences where you invite me in and I bring the Black-owned wines to you and we make a game out of it. I have a chef that I partner with and he prepares tapas that pairs with the wine. So the vision from the wine bar, I'm still keeping the name out there because I'm coming to your house, I'm putting it together, and that my event side helps with that because it's not the same event. So if I come to your house and you have 10 girlfriends, if one of your girlfriends booked the party, she's not going to have the same experience as you because I'm a creative mind. So I'm thinking, how can I make this catered towards you versus just one standard out of the box experience? So Uncorked Smoke is still generating revenue. It's still out there. It's just not in the brick and mortar that it's going to be in.
Yeah, because I was going to say when I was doing research on you for the interview, I was like, okay, I see this website for Uncorked Smoke and these experiences. So she still got her hand in that on top of with the distribution business. And I think that's great that you get a chance to kind of feed both of your passions. My question is, how do you balance all that?
Honestly, I look at it as one business. The only reason it's two businesses is the state of North Carolina requires me to keep it as two businesses. They don't want any conflict of interest. I'm buying wine at wholesale. Therefore, I can't have that benefit of selling it at the experience or selling it in the wine bar when I'm getting it at a discount. So I keep my everything clean. It's operated as two businesses. And what helps me balance is I schedule everything. Like if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. I have days assigned for administrative tasks. I have days assigned for bookkeeping, for marketing, for human resource issues. So, and on those days, other things may come up, but I have to tackle these tasks. And that just helps my sanity. I can sleep peacefully at night because I'm not worried about, did I forget this? It helps me stay on task, and it helps me be able to see progress without getting overwhelmed with what's ahead.
Yeah. I totally can understand. Because I was going to say, with you having both of those, it's got to be hard to find that balance. And I was going to ask her, do you schedule you in? Like, are you scheduling time for you in?
Yes. I refuse to work on Sundays. So Sunday is my day. Okay. There are about 3 days of the week I'm shutting down at 5. So I'm going hard. And if it doesn't get done, it'll have to be the first thing the next morning because I know what it feels like to be burned out and I don't want to be burned out. In addition to that, I have a great team. I can't say I do it all on both sides. I have a great team. So I'm not doing it all. I'm doing a lot, but I'm not doing it all alone.
And I think that's great, because I think from talking to other entrepreneurs, and even when I have to admit, even for myself, managing the podcast and other things, I don't have a team. I have me. I'm team me. And it's a lot for team me. It's to take on. So I'm kind of curious, have you always naturally been able to delegate, or is that something you just figured out as you got older and grew up? Because I want to grow up and do the same thing.
No, it did not come natural. I felt like I had to do it to make sure it was done, because it needed to be done my way. Instead of taking the time to explain it to you, I could just do it. Like, why would I do that?
Right.
But what I realized is I am not hurting anybody but myself. How am I going to grow as a business if I'm doing everything? How much more revenue could I be generating if I'm able to go and network with the Kimpton Hotel so that our brands can get in there while you sit back here and you enter in these invoices that need to be paid, or whatever it is? It was a growth process. I've been fortunate to be a participant of several cohorts. Charlotte is great with providing cohort opportunities. And I just learn from other entrepreneurs. I'm always networking. So to hear other people's success stories make me go, okay, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should give them this little task. Maybe I should. On the Uncorked Smoke side, I do hardly any experiences. I have a team that goes out. I call them experience leaders. They actually do the experiences for me. This way I don't have to give up, because most of them are on Saturday nights. I don't have to give up my Saturday night.
Right. And that's great, because again, that shows how teamwork really does make the dream work.
It does.
When you set it up right. And I love the fact that you have gotten to that point, because like you said, you've been burnt out. Yes. So now that you know that, and you at least schedule your time off on Sundays and your Saturday nights, is there anything that you're like really passionate about that keeps you intentional? Because I think that's important to talk about as a business leader.
All of this, winning, community, knowing that we are going to make an impact, a positive economic impact for businesses that look like mine. And we've already done that. So in Charlotte, North Carolina, I can get 5 Black brands out of Total Wine. Period. And that's all the brands I can get out of this area. 5 Black brands. There are over 1,000 on the market. I can only get 5. In the few short months that I've been licensed, I have 7 brands now going through the process to be approved to be sold in North Carolina. So I've doubled it in 3 months?
Wow.
Just making that impact. These are brands that when I speak to some of the winemakers and their stories of how they really want to succeed, but there's so many roadblocks, and how they always wanted to be in North Carolina, and this will help them get in North Carolina. So it's like we're winning together. The community that is in the space. When I was in California for those 2 weeks, I felt like I was part of their community. Like, they embraced me. We had real conversation. It was just a beautiful thing to see. And I want to bring that to the Southeast. I want to bring that to North Carolina. It can be done.
It can. I mean, it definitely, you have your work cut out for you.
Yes.
But it can. Like I said, I have some family who's from North Carolina, so I understand what you're facing. You definitely got your work cut out for you.
That's where that city girl comes in. We're resilient.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to be, because like you said, There's a lot of no. What is one thing that you are saying yes to right now for yourself?
Oh, well, it's on the personal side.
Okay.
And allowing myself to be vulnerable enough to start dating again.
Okay. Girl, you saw the hand go up like the church prayer. Like, yes,
that's a big one for me. I can throw myself into the business like, no, I got these trust issues and the last one didn't work out. And I have been single for 3 years, and I am finally allowing myself to date. And to genuinely date, not date to look for problems, but date just for true compatibility, to genuinely get to know you. No one's perfect. And to give you an opportunity without shutting you down because you chew with your mouth open or something silly like that.
Yeah. And that's a challenge. That's why I said the church hand went up, because I understand being open to love is so hard. Why did you decide that this was the time to say yes to love?
Over the last 2 years, I've done a lot of cleansing, a lot of healing from things I didn't even know I needed to heal from. Just those true, genuine, transparent moments with myself. I didn't have to have those moments. I'm honest enough with myself that I can have them with myself and don't need someone to co-sign on it. And I felt like when I let a lot of things go, I then found I was open to a lot of things that I was preventing or hiding from. And they were all things meant for my good, including things within the business, like just having enough faith in myself to actually enter this industry where I don't find many people that look like me. Finding faith that I can pick the right person to be my life mate. Like, I made those decisions because of this. I now realize that I own that. I can't blame them for everything. So I own my part. And now I'm in a space where I'm free. I feel free now. So that's how that came about.
I love that. It's funny. I had been talking last month about softness, and the reason I bring it up is because I'm on that journey too, like opening my heart to love. I've been single a little bit longer than you though, but just trying to like you said, be softer, be more open. And I do find the same thing, that it opens you up, not just for love, but in the business space. I mean, you're a lot more receiving.
Yes.
How do you keep that intention going right now? Like, what are you using to inspire you to not go back in? Because I don't know about you, but sometimes when things don't go right, it'd be like, oh Lord, I should have just stayed in the shell.
Right. Like, God, what are you doing here? Are you testing me? You trying to see if I'm true to this?
Yes.
I am naturally positive 95% of the time. So when that thing happens that makes me want to go in, I stop and, I look at it as a blessing. There's a reason that thing happened the way it did. And I just refuse to give up on the fact that there is someone. I don't believe it's natural for us to be alone. I think that we are supposed to partner with someone. And I just haven't lost hope in that. I haven't given up on it. And then when I said I was open to it, I'm not a quitter. So here I am. I'm going to try it again. Okay, that one didn't work out. Let me go again.
Right. Well, I love it. Yeah, because I was going to say, you're resilient. Remember, you're from Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to be resilient. And I love that you are being resilient and open to love for yourself, and that you are giving yourself that space. I was going to ask you, with everything that you've been able to accomplish in this time and where you are right now, if you had to use one word to describe where you are on the journey right now, what would it be?
One word to describe where I am on the journey right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I am, I'm thinking of so many words. I got to call that one word. The one word of where I am on the journey right now is momentum.
Okay. And why would you say momentum?
Full speed ahead. Mm-hmm. There are roadblocks. There are naysayers. There are obstacles. None of them matter, because none of it is going to stop what I've started. So my one word will be momentum. And if I described it to someone this morning, what is happening right now is when you see a volcano and it's about to erupt and it's just bubbling at the top. It's like right there, and it's just a matter of time before it all overflows into prosperity and blessings and just being a whole movement. And it's just like right there, like I can see it. So that's why the momentum is just going to keep going and going and going. There's not a day I wake up and say, why am I doing this? Even on there's been some days, but I never questioned, why am I doing this?
Right. I love that. I love your word and just how you described it, because I could actually visualize, like, you like the volcano, like bubbling up with all this greatness coming over.
Yes.
So I definitely love seeing you at that point in the journey. How can we support you? Like, where can we reach out to you? Tell us all the details.
Yes. So you can support me, and disclaimer, I'm not a social media person, but I'm going to do better. It's on my task list to do better. It's all I'm going to work on this weekend.
Okay.
Get out of the way. You can support me. I am on Instagram. My personal Instagram is I am Yolanda Holiday. Onyx Zealot Distributor and Uncorked Smoke. I'm on Facebook. Business pages, Onyx Zealot and Uncorked Smoke. I am always open to meeting people. You can shoot me an email. Email is on my website, www.onyxzealot.com. And Onyx Zealot is Onyx, Onyx. Zealot is Zealot. And www.uncorkedsmoke.com. And here's something that most people don't realize. They say, Uncorked Smoke, we get it. Wine, cigar, we get it. But where does Onyx Zealot come from? The name actually had to have meaning. Once I accepted that this was my mission and this was the way I was going, I would not accept just any normal name. So I was brainstorming. I got big white stickies all over the place where I'm writing names down. So Onyx Zealot actually means Black Disruptor.
Hey, how did you get, Zealot? Because normally as a zealot, you're very passionate. You're will break. Okay. Yes. See that. Sorry. I had to break it down. Sorry, y'all.
And most people do. And everyone's like, well, where did that name come from? Some people are just like, it's something passionate, near and dear. You should look it up. Other people actually sit down and explain, this is a mission. Like, this is not going to be easy. It is a good old boys club, but I'm here for it. Like, I'm here to disrupt.
Get it, mama. Disrupt. Let us support you on your disrupting journey. I am just so glad that you came on and sat down and talked with me. Your journey is very inspiring, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. And I will definitely, guys, make sure I have all of Yolanda's information in the show notes, so that way we can go ahead and support and encourage you. And as you continue to grow, please let me know. I would love to have you come back.
Yes. Thank you. I love being here. It was so much fun.
I'm really so glad. Thank you so much.
So what do you guys think? Isn't Yolanda amazing? I think it's really great that she's tapped into her passion and she's just found a new way to kind of disrupt the status quo, especially as it relates to wine. I know everyone's not a drinker, but I think all of us are about finding our passions and putting forth the best effort possible to make those happen. And I just think that Yolanda is an amazing example of that. So I will have all of Yolanda's information, like I mentioned earlier, in the show notes. I am really excited about having an opportunity to collaborate with her again in the future. Maybe we'll do a wine down. A good glass of wine, great conversation, always makes for an awesome episode. So we shall see how that comes together. But I want to thank you for spending this time with me this week. I hope your weekend is going great, or your start of your week is going amazing. Again, I want to thank you guys for your support, and I want you to stay encouraged. Keep fighting, keep persevering, keep putting your dreams out there. And I look forward to seeing many wonderful things happen and talking to you guys next week. Take care of yourselves and each other. Talk soon. Bye-bye.